Hey, dear students, welcome to this network analysis course lecture. In earlier lectures, we have seen different theorems which are used for circuit analysis, like superposition theorem, Thevenin's theorem, Norton's theorem, maximum power transfer theorem. In this video, we'll try to understand the Miller's theorem. Okay, so what is this Miller's theorem statement? So in different ways, we can write this particular theorem statement. The simplest one is Miller's theorem states that if impedance is connected, if impedance is connected between input and output nodes in an amplifier having a reference node n, then this impedance can be replaced by two impedances, one connected between the input and the reference node or ground node, and the other connected between output and the reference node of the ground node. Just to understand this particular statement, we can see the diagram here. So if suppose there is an amplifier circuit and on input side there is node 1, output side there is node 2. So input side voltage is V1 at node 1 and output side voltage is V2 at node 2, and there is a reference N. Suppose this is reference N, and then there is an impedance connected between these input and output nodes. If there is an impedance connected between this input and output node of an amplifier, which is Z, then this impedance can be replaced by two impedances. One is called as an Z1 between input and reference node, between input and reference node of that circuit, and that Z1 is called as Z1 is given by Z upon 1 minus K. That Z1 is given by Z upon 1 minus K, this one. Similarly, the other impedance is between output and reference node, which is called as an Z2, which is called as an Z2, which is Z into K upon K minus 1. So here, what is K? Where K is the gain of the circuit, amplifier circuit, that is V2 upon V1. So this K can be referred as AV, right? In some cases, it is referred as AV. In some cases, it is referred as K. So this K is nothing but AV is nothing but V2 upon V1. So if you see this second statement, you will understand this more clearly. The Miller's theorem establishes that in linear circuit, if there exists a branch with impedance Z, that means if there is a branch having impedance Z connecting two nodes with nodal voltages V1 and V2, where this V1 is input node, always keep in mind, V2 is output node. So between input and output, if there is impedance Z connected, then we can replace this branch by two branches connecting corresponding nodes, that is V1 and V2, to ground by impedances respectively Z upon 1 minus K, Z upon 1 minus K, and Z into K upon K minus 1. Z into K upon K minus 1, where K is the voltage gain of that particular circuit, that is called as V2 by V1. Okay, so that means in short, if any impedance is there between the input and output, how we can simplify that? So that can be simplified using the Miller's theorem. Otherwise, we don't know what is the contribution or what is the value of the Z on input side and what is the value of the Z on output side. That we can't understand. So maybe in the after the theorem, understanding theorem, we will see one example so that you'll understand this very clearly. Again, it is not only the impedance between the input and output. There can be resistance between input and output. There can be capacitance between input and output, and there can be inductance in between the input and output. If the impedance is there, it is always Z. If there is a resistance, it is R. But if there is a capacitance, then it will be a what you can say, the reactance of the capacitor, that is 1 upon omega C, right? And if there is inductance, then its reactance will be there, that is omega L. So there can be Z between input and output node, or there can be, that means in feedback, or there can be resistance between input output, that means in feedback, or there can be capacitive reactance between input and output, that means a feedback element, or there can be a inductance, that means reactance of the inductance between input and output. So whenever there is any element between input and output, that element is called as a feedback element. That element is called as a feedback element. So how this feedback element can be simplified? Okay, that theory is given by the Millers right now. So it is very simple that this Z can be split into two values. One is called Z1, which is given by Z upon 1 minus K, and other is Z2, which is called as Z into K upon K minus 1, where this K is nothing but the voltage gain V2 by V1, right? So this Z is also called as an ZMI, and this Z2 is called as an ZMO. So how to read this ZMI? Miller's input impedance. Miller's input impedance. This is called as Miller's output impedance. So Miller's input impedance is Z upon 1 minus K or Z upon 1 minus AV, and Miller's output impedance is Z into AV upon AV minus 1 or Z into K upon K minus 1, where K or AV is output voltage divided by input voltage, or output node voltage divided by input node voltage, right? So output voltage upon input voltage is also called, always called as gain. So how these particular values we are getting, that one has to understand. How we are getting this ZMI, how we are getting this ZMO. Now here I have considered impedance Z between input and output. Suppose in case of the impedance, if there is a resistance R between input and output, suppose instead of the Z, there is a resistance between input and output, then these formulas can be modified as, this will become RMI, this will become RMI, which is equals to R1, which will be equals to R upon 1 minus K, or R upon 1 minus AV, where this AV or K is V2 by V1. Similarly, RMO will be equals to RMO will be equals to R2, which is equals to R into K upon K minus 1, where this K is ratio of V2 by V1, is output voltage upon input voltage, or output node voltage divided by input node voltage, and this R is the value of this resistance which is between the input and output, that is the feedback element. So if it is impedance, then ZMI is given like this, Z upon 1 minus K, and ZMO is Z into K upon K minus 1. And if it is the resistance between input and output, then according to Miller's theorem, we can split this feedback element into two elements. One is on input side, one is on output side. So one is connected between input node and ground, other is connected between output node and the ground, and then it gets simplified. So maybe in the example you will understand in more details. Similarly, if there is inductance between the input and output, suppose this is V1 node and this is V2 node. So V1 is the input node, V2 is output node, and there is some reference N. Then how this can be simplified? So we will get again two components, one on input side, that is between the V1 node and the ground N, and other on the output node, between output node and the reference node. So this will be called as an, we can say, what we can say, we can say it is ZMI will be equals to ZMI, or because it is a reactance, right? It is not inductance. Omega L is a reactance of the inductor. So we can write this as a ZMI, suppose, and that will be equals to omega L upon 1 minus K, and this will be ZMO will be equals to omega L into K upon K minus 1. Similarly, if there is a capacitance between input and output, and there is a reference in that amplifier as a N, then this 1 upon omega C is a reactance of the capacitance which is between the input and output node. So that can be simplified using the this particular Miller's theory or theorem. So here this element capacitor, which is between input and output, can be divided into two elements. So one element will be in the input node and the ground, and other element will come between output node and the ground, right? So now this particular one we can, instead of showing the inductor or capacitor in earlier case also, I will show by this impedance symbol. I will show this by impedance symbol. So for inductor it will be omega L upon 1 minus k at input side, and on output side it will be omega L into k upon k minus 1, right? That is for inductor. If it is a capacitor between input and output, then how it will get splitted into two types or two parts. One is between V1 and ground, that is N, and that will be ZMI equals to, now here it will be 1 upon omega C, 1 upon omega C upon 1 minus K, and the output side between outputs between V2 and the ground, it will be ZMO, suppose, and that will be what? That will be 1 upon omega C into K upon K minus 1. So likewise, we can write for the impedance element, impedance as an element between feedback, resistance as an element between feedback, capacitance uh, between input and output, that is in feedback, or inductor between input. So if it is anything here, so we can, using the Miller's theorem, we can simplify this feedback element. And once we get simplified one like Z1, Z2, or ZMI and ZMO, or RMI and RMO, then it becomes very easy to analyze that circuit further, right? So here one example is taken here. So that if there is node V1 on input side, this is input side, there is another node on output side, and there's a ground for that particular circuit. It's multi-node network like amplifier, and there is a resistance R dash between V1 and V2 node. Then how to simplify this using Miller's theorem? So if you apply the Miller's theorem, one component you will get between input node and the ground, that is called R1. And what is this R1? So you can see here, this R1 will be equals to, this R1 will be equals to this R dash upon 1 minus K, where K will be equals to V2 by V1, right? So that is that. Now this feedback element has split into two components. One is R1, which will come on input side, that is between input node and the ground. This R1 can be also called as an RMI, that is Miller's input resistance. And then second one can come between output node and the ground, which is called R2, which is also called as an RMO, which will be equals to R dash into K upon K minus 1, where K is what? K is output voltage upon input voltage. Okay, so this version of the Miller's theorem is based on Kirchhoff's voltage law. So this particular the things which I explained to you, these values of ZMI or ZMO or Z1 or Z2, like that. ZMI on input side, ZMO on output side, or Z2, or it is called an RMI, RMO, like that. So these particular values which you are getting for these elements is based on the Kirchhoff's voltage law. So basic for Miller's theorem is the Kirchhoff's voltage law, and for this reason it is named. It is also named as Miller's theorem for voltages. Miller's theorem for voltages, that one has to understand. This suggests that we can replace R dash in above example. We can replace R dash by two resistances R1 and R2. That means R1 will come between input node and the ground, and R2 will come between output node and ground, like that. And then it gets simplified. So if you look at the application, right, there are many applications, but one of the very familiar application is voltage shunt feedback amplifier. So when you will study transistor amplifier. So in transistor amplifier, you'll find different feedback circuits. Like we have four types of the feedback circuit, like voltage shunt negative feedback amplifier, voltage series negative feedback amplifier, current series negative feedback amplifier, and current shunt negative feedback amplifier. Because in amplifiers, negative feedback is used. In oscillators, positive feedback is used. So in voltage shunt, when you are analyzing voltage shunt negative feedback amplifier, this is always analyzed using the Miller's theorem. So in EDC or similar subjects, you will have to understand the importance of the Miller's theorem, right? We can also see the advantage of the op-amp integrator. So in op-amp integrator also the Miller's theorem is used, because this particular op-amp integrator acts as a low pass filter. So in that low pass means that integrator is a low pass filter. So in that op-amp integrator, that op-amp is operation amplifier. So using operation amplifier, you can design integrator. You can design integrator using transistor amplifier, and there you can use the Miller's theorem to simplify the feedback element, because there is a whenever there is a feedback element between input and output in that particular circuit, you can use the Miller's theorem to simplify that. Another application of Miller theorem is high frequency analysis of transistor amplifier. So when you go for the high frequency analysis of transistor amplifier, the inter uh, electrode capacitance, or that is also called as parasitic capacitance, come into the picture, because the coupling capacitors in case of that transistor becomes short circuit, and the capacitance between uh, parasitic capacitance between base and collector and emitter, or emitter and base comes into the picture. And if there is suppose base as a, say for example, input, and collector as output, and emitter is suppose ground, then between base and collector there will be capacitance, and base is the input and collector is output. So between this input and output there will be capacitance, which is called as CBC. And when this CBC, this is called as parasitic capacitance. It is not physical, it is formed right now because of the what you can say, the junctions. You know that in transistor there are three junctions, sorry, two junctions and three layers. So this is suppose PNP transistor, right? So PNP. So this is suppose emitter, this is suppose collector, and this is suppose base, right? So you can see the between base and collector. Now this negative plate, the N means negative plate and P means positive plate. So this negative plate and positive plate will form the capacitance here between this N and P, that junction here, and that is between base and collector. So that will form the CBC capacitance. So if it is between input and output, then how to simplify this? So in that high frequency analysis of the transistor amplifier, this Miller's theorem is used. So whenever you will study transistor high frequency analysis, you have to always study the that simplification or analysis of that transistor amplifier using Miller's theorem. Also in bootstrapping technique. So what is bootstrapping technique? It is used in the transistor amplifier as well as operation amplifier. Transistor amplifier you might be studying in CDC, and operation amplifier you study in the next semester, that is integrated circuits. So bootstrapping technique is used to increase the input impedance of the transistor or input impedance of the operation amplifier. So there also you'll find that element is coming between input and output. So whenever element is between input and output, how to simplify that? So that theory is given by the Millers. So hope it is clear to everyone by this time. Now how we are getting this particular Miller's input and output resistance, or Miller's input and output, what you can say, uh, impedance. So let us try to understand, as it is mentioned here, that this particular theorem uses the Kirchhoff's voltage law. So let us now try to understand using the Kirchhoff's voltage law. Say for example, here if I just consider, okay, this is for, okay. So if I consider this circuit diagram, wherein the impedance Z is between input and output. Impedance Z is between input and output. And now we want to simplify this feedback element, because if I look from this input side, I cannot find out what is the exact contribution of GZ on input side. Or if I look from this output side, maybe to find out the input resistance or output resistance or input impedance ZI, Zin, or output impedance Z0, like that right now. So I can't find that particular one. But if I can simplify using this particular Miller's theorem, then it is very easy to uh, find out the total impedance seen from input side or total impedance seen from the output side. So let us understand that in this case, this is voltage V1 at input side with respect to ground, which is suppose minus, right? And this output voltage is V2 with respect to ground. Ground is common to, like for example, if you want to understand exactly what, because this is just uh, uh, portion of the circuit considered. Suppose if you want to understand this particular diagram, let us take the example of transistor. Suppose you know the transistor. This is the NPN transistor. This is the NPN transistor, right? This is the NPN transistor. Now, if I suppose consider emitter as a ground, right? Emitter as a ground, okay, and then collector as a output, collector as a output, and base as a input, base as a input. And if there is suppose some impedance or resistance between this particular input and output, input and output, suppose it is Z. Okay, so now this is input here, voltage is suppose V1 at input side, right? And output is, generally we call input as V in, output as V0, but here in terms of node voltage it is considered, right? V1 and V2. So on this side, suppose there is a voltage V1, on this side there is voltage V2, and between this input and output node there is a impedance Z. Then how we can simplify this, right? Now how we can simplify this? Okay, so you can simplify this something like this. So in this case it will be something like this. This transistor emitter will be connected to ground, it's common, and then Miller's input impedance called as an ZMI or Z1 will come on to the input side, that is between the V1 and the ground, and here on output side this will be a Miller's output impedance ZMO between output terminal and the ground. So something like this. So this situation will be like this, keep in mind. Okay, so now here if you look at this particular equivalent, then you will understand that from this equivalent, if I now want to find out the total input impedance Zn, then it is very easy, because now Zn will be equals to what? This ZMI in parallel with the this impedance between base and emitter. So, right. But earlier, as it was between the input and output, this Z was between input and output. It was very difficult. Okay, how much will be this Zin? It was difficult to find out. Similarly, if somebody wants to find out Z0 or Z0, ZO, then how to find out this one right now? So we don't know what is the contribution of the Z here. But this, once it is simplified using Miller's theorem, now we can understand if you want to find out the ZO seen from the output side, right? Then naturally this will be ZO will be equals to ZMO parallel with the output resistance or output impedance of this transistor. So those will come in parallel. So something like that. So this is example. So we'll see this example at the end for better understanding in details. But just to give the idea, I have just consider again in short this particular transistor amplifier, because Miller's theorem is mostly used in the transistor amplifiers, right? So now how to find out this one? So let us understand this is a plus minus with respect to ground, plus minus ground, and suppose there's a current I1 flowing here on this side. Okay, now if we apply KVL, because it is mentioned that it is based on Kirchhoff's voltage law. So if I apply KVL to this particular loop, then I will get minus to plus is plus V1, then this is plus minus, so plus to minus is minus I1 into Z, and plus to minus is minus V2 equals to 0 when I2 is 0. Because here consider that I2 is 0, so this I2 is flowing like this. So if this is I2, that I2 is considered to be 0 right now, then only this is possible. Okay, so under this condition, what will be the value of V1 equals to? So V1 equals to, sorry, what will be value of I1, because we want to find out the Z1, right? So Z1 is the that Miller's input impedance, or ZMI, we can say Z1 or ZMI seen from this side. So it is V1 by I1. So we are interested in V1 by I1 ratio right now. So to find that V1 by I1 ratio when your I2 is 0, when your I2 is 0, so what is that ratio? So from that ratio we can find out from this particular equation. So let us simplify this. So I can write this as I1Z equals to, so 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 I I1 Z equals to V1 minus V2. It means I1 equals to V1 minus V2 upon Z. Now this equation for current we can even directly write. So what is current I1 is potential at this point V1 minus potential at this point V2 divided by Z. But why I have not written directly? Because I wanted to show that for this theorem KVL is used. Basically it is based on the KVL. So therefore it is also called as an Miller's theorem for voltages right now. So that is what one has to understand. So once you get these equations, then further is only mathematical manipulation. So I will take V1 outside. So what will remain inside the bracket? V1 minus V2 upon V1 whole divided by Z, right? And then equals to V1 inside the bracket 1 minus V2 upon V1 is K or AV. V2 upon V1 is called as an gain. So I will call this K is equals to AV is equals to V2 upon V1, that is voltage gain. So it is suppose AV or K. Okay. So to understand this, I will consider K as a notation here. K and divided by Z. But what we have to find out? We have to find out V1 by I1, which is Z1. So V1 by I1, if you find out from this equation, so V1 by I1 means I1 we have to take on right side, and this 1 minus K upon Z we have to transfer on left side. So if you transfer that, then Z1 is equal to V1 by I1 equals to, it will be Z upon 1 minus K. Z upon 1 minus K. So you can see this is also Z upon 1 minus K. So that will come between input and ground. That will come between input and ground, isn't it? So if you understood this, then we'll try for the second one, that is Z2. So this Z1 is also called then ZMI, that is Miller's input impedance, right? And same process is used for the other elements. That means if you replace the Z by R, that is resistance, then everywhere you have to replace Z by R, Z by R, and end you'll get R upon 1 minus K, right? So it is simple. Now let us try for the second node. So this is what we have tried for the first node. Now for second node, what we have to do? We have to set the I1 current 0. We have to set the I1 current 0. And we can follow the same procedure. So in that case, if I1 is 0, then this is plus minus. This is also voltage is plus minus. So now let us understand that current I2 is flowing in this direction. So this is plus minus. So now if we apply the KVL to this second loop, maybe I'll select this loop, then what will be your equation? You can see plus minus to plus is plus V2, plus to minus is minus I2 into Z, and plus to minus is minus V1 equals to 0 when I1 equals to 0. So just simplify this equation. Now we are interested in Z2, which is V2 upon I2 when I1 equals to 0. So now simplify this. So I2 will be equals to, from this equation, I2 will be equals to V2 minus V1 upon Z. V2 minus V1 upon Z. So this is our KVL equation. And from that we simplified I2 equals to V2 minus V1 upon Z. So now you can simplify this. If I take the V2 outside, then inside the bracket it is 1 minus V1 upon V2 and whole divided by Z. Right. So now what we have to find out from this equation? Z2, which is equal to V2 upon I2. So what it will be, if we take the I2 on the right side and then 1 minus V1 by V2 upon Z on other side. So it will be Z upon Z upon Z upon Z upon 1 minus V1 by V2. Okay, so same thing we can write like this. Z2 equals to Z upon I can write this as 1 minus 1 upon K, because For this term, I will write separately here 1 minus V1 upon V2. I can write this term as 1 minus 1 upon V2 upon V1. That means here I have divided this numerator and denominator like 1 minus V1 by V1 divided by V2 by V1. So this V1 will get cancelled. It is 1. So it is 1 minus 1 upon V2 by V1. And what is V2 by V1? Is AV or K. Is AV or K. So this V2 by V1 is AV or K. Okay, so that is what is written there. So if you can write like that, then you'll get this equation, and then you can simplify this equation. So Z2 equals to, so if you simplify this, you will get Z into numerator K and divided by K minus 1. Okay, so you can see here. So Z2 is Z into K upon K minus 1, where K is V2 by V1, where K is V2 by V1. And this Z2 is called as an ZMO, Miller's output impedance. Miller's output impedance. Again here, if instead of Z, if there is R, then you can just replace Z by R. So R2 will be equals to, this will become R2, this will become RMO, and that will be R into K upon K minus 1, where K is the output voltage by input voltage, that is a voltage gain, and R is the feedback element value. So hope this is clear to everyone, right? Now let us see the second part of this particular theorem, and that is nothing but the dual of Miller's theorem. So there is also a dual version of the Miller's theorem that is based on Kirchhoff's current law. So the main Miller's theorem is based on the Kirchhoff's voltage law, which is also called the Miller's theorem for voltages. And the dual of the Miller's theorem is based on the Kirchhoff's current law. So it is also called the Miller's theorem for currents. Miller theorem for currents. So how it is stated, or how we can state that, if there is a branch in a circuit with impedance Z or resistance R, whatever. There is a branch in a circuit with impedance Z connecting a node, keep in mind, connecting a node where two currents I1, I2 converge to ground, two currents I1, I2 converge to ground. We can replace this branch by two conducting the referred currents with respectively equal to first one is 1 plus alpha into Z, and other one is 1 plus alpha into Z upon alpha, where alpha is I2 upon I1. So everybody knows that I2 upon I1 is current gain. So here alpha is a current gain, as we have discussed in the above. K is voltage gain, V2 upon V1, also called as AV. Here it is called as alpha. Alpha is used for current gain, or it is also called as AI, which is equals to, sometimes it also called A. In some books it is used A as a notation. So anything like here K is used, there A is used. So this is nothing but I2 upon I1. Now, how to understand this statement, right? So to understand this statement, let us now consider this diagram, right? Okay. And there are, as I said, there are various ways. Like in Miller's theorem also we can state in 2-3 ways. Like similarly, dual of Miller's theorem can be also stated in 2 ways. Like if there is a branch in a circuit with impedance Z connecting a node where two currents I1, I2 converge to ground, we can replace this branch by two conducting the referred currents with impedances respectively equal to 1 plus A. Now 1 plus A means this A is what? Is I2 by I1. 1 plus A into Z, and second one is 1 plus A into Z upon A, where A is the output I2 upon I1. So what is the meaning of this two current converges? So you can see, first of all, try to understand, if there is a branch in a circuit with impedance Z connecting a node. So you can see this diagram here. So there is a branch wherein the impedance Z is there, which is connected between node and a ground. Connecting a node means it is between node and ground, where two currents I1, I2 converge. You can see these two currents converge means coming together right now. So these two currents are converging here. So this I1 is here and I2 is here, right? Converge to ground. Converge to ground means this I1 will come here and I2 will be coming here like this. So these two currents are converging at this particular element. We can replace this branch. So this branch we can replace by two conducting the referred currents. That is I1 and I2, something like this. You can see here. to conducting referred currents with impedances. जैसे कि impedance, first impedance is 1 plus alpha into Z, 1 plus alpha into Z, or 1 plus A into Z, or 1 plus AI into Z, where this alpha equals to A equals to AI is the current gain, forward current gain, right? And the second element is 1 plus alpha upon alpha into Z, or 1 plus A upon A into Z, right? Or it can be 1 plus AI upon AI into Z, where this A alpha or AI is I2 upon I1. So again, you can see this in impedance, this branch where impedance is there is in between right now. So we cannot simplify it. But if you use the Miller's dual theorem, we can very well simplify this impedance Z into two components, right? Two components. One is 1 plus alpha into Z, other is 1 plus alpha upon alpha into Z. And then it becomes very easy because this is separate, this is separate. And then we can do the series parallel combination or finding the equivalent impedance and something like that. Now, how we are getting this particular two impedances, right? How we are getting these two impedances? So we are to understand the basics. So what are the basics here? Kirchhoff's current law. Kirchhoff's current law. So let us assume that. So here it is already mentioned here. You can see here. So the dual version of the Miller's theorem, that is based on Kirchhoff's current law. Kirchhoff's current law, right? So here, how to use that Kirchhoff's current law? Say, for example, now I will consider this as input side having the voltage V1 with respect to ground, and the output side having the voltage V2 with respect to ground, and these currents are I1, I2 and impedance Z, right? Now suppose there is a X node here, X node. So can we apply the KCL at X node? So there we applied KVL, here we have to apply KCL. Okay, now try to understand in the previous theorem when we are writing the KVL equation to this input side, from input side to output side, we had to consider I2 0. And when we apply the KVL from output side to input side, we consider I1 0. Similarly, here in dual theorem, when you're writing the KCL, right, you have to consider when you're writing the KCL from this side, so input side, you have to consider V2 0. And when you're writing KCL from the output side, you have to consider V1 0. Okay. So suppose if my V2 is 0 here, in first case, V2 is 0. So V2 is 0 means naturally it is short. Keep in mind. Earlier case we said current 0, I2 0. So for first condition here, when I2 is 0, right, it means it is output side is open. That means there is some voltage. Current is 0, but voltage there, right? And here we are saying the V2 is 0 means voltage is 0, but current is there. So I2 is going to be there. So now, and V1 is there. V2 is 0, but V1 is there. So V1 is there. It means it is directly across Z. So that means across Z there is voltage V1 and impedance Z. So now I can assign this as a current, another current. So if I apply KCL at X node, then I will get, considering that V2 is 0, then I'll get I1 plus I2 equals to this, suppose I current. So this is my KCL here. So now in this KCL, I1 plus I2 equals to, what is value of I? If the voltage V2 is 0 on output side, it is short. There is only V1 exists. So it is V1 by Z. It is V1 by Z. It is V1 by Z. V1 by Z. And now we have to find out what will be the impedance from this side. That is called as Miller's input impedance, which is Z1, which is equals to ZMI in case of the dual of the Millers. Okay. So now in that case, we have to find out the Z1 or ZMI as V1 by I1 again. So what manipulations we'll do here? Let us keep this I1 outside, and then inside the bracket it will be 1 plus I2 by I1, which is equal to V1 by Z. And now simplify this for V1 by I1. So when you simplify this for V1 by I1, this will become Z1, which will be equals to V1 by I1 means V1 by I1 means this I1 is taken on right side and then Z is taken on this side. So this will become Z into 1 plus I2 by I1. So what is I2 by I1? I2 by I1 is current gain, which is alpha, right? So this alpha, where alpha is I2 by I1, right? Or it can be written as A, or it can be written as AI. So different notations are there, which we have to understand. So this Z1, which is written here, you can see here, Z1 or ZMI is 1 plus alpha into Z, 1 plus alpha into Z. Similarly, if you want to understand what is this 1 plus alpha upon alpha into Z, so this is Miller's output impedance in case of the Miller's dual theorem, right? So here the value of this particular is Z2, which is ZMO, Miller's output impedance. So how to find out? So we can use again KCL, but with what condition? So here we have to consider V1 as 0. So if the V1 is 0, naturally it is going to be short on this side. And now we have to understand what will be the impedance seen from this side. Say it is a Z2, right, or ZMO. And then as this V1 is going to be short here on this side. So V1 is going to be short means 0, but doesn't mean that I1 is going to be 0. So again we can apply the KCL. So if you apply the KCL, then what will be the equation at X node? So equation at X node will be, again, it is going to be I1 plus I2 incoming equals to I. But now here I is going to change. I is going to change. So it is I1 plus I2 equals to, it is going to be V2 upon Z. V2 upon Z. And now we can simplify this. So after simplification, you will get, suppose if I take the I2 outside, because I want this Z2, which is nothing but V2 upon I2 when V1 is 0. Then I2 is taken outside. So it is I1 upon, sorry, here it is I2 is taken outside. So it is 1 plus I1 by I2 equals to V2 upon Z. So simplify for V2 by I2. So V2 by I2, where should I write this? V2 upon I2 will be equals to, so I2 I can take on right side and then Z on this side. So it is Z into 1 plus I1 by I2. So again you can simplify this 1 plus I1 by I2, something like this. So if I take 1 plus, this is I1 by I1 and this is I2 by I1. So that means here I can divide this and this by I1, then I'll get this I1 I will cancel and I2 by I1 is alpha. So 1 plus 1 upon alpha. 1 plus 1 upon alpha is equals to what? Alpha plus 1 upon alpha. Alpha plus 1 upon alpha. So I can simplify this as V2 by I2, which is Z2, as Z into this term is 1 plus alpha upon alpha. So you can see here. So Z2 is 1 plus alpha upon alpha into Z, where alpha is I2 by I1. So this is the explanation for this Miller's theorem first, right, which is based on the Kirchhoff's voltage law, and then how we're getting the simplified values of Z1, Z2 or ZMI and ZMO, and then Miller's theorem, dual theorem, which is based on the Kirchhoff's current law, right, where it is also called as Miller's theorem for currents, and then how we're getting the this value of Z into two values like Z1 and Z2, also called as ZMI and ZMO. So similarly, as I said earlier, the Z can be replaced by R, or Z can be replaced by reactance of capacitance 1 upon omega C. Z can be replaced by reactance of the inductor, because every time impedance is not going to be there in between feedback or between node and the ground right now. So if there is a resistance between input and output, here you can see, then how we can simplify this using Miller's theorem. If there is impedance between input and output, how we can simplify. If there is a reactance of capacitance between input and output, how we can simplify. So those things you should understand. And now quickly we'll see where these are used. So you can see here, You can refer to the Wikipedia here. So this is Miller's theorem. Now all the details are given. You can also search on this one, or it is given in books also. So this Miller's theorem definition, explanation, implementation, applications, everything is given. So if you go to this particular application part, you will understand here. You can see the dual Miller's theorem or currents. So you can see list of specific applications based on Miller's theorem. So if you see the for circuit solutions, there are n number of circuits wherein this Miller's theorem is used, and all these are amplifiers, either transistor amplifier or operation amplifier. So as I said, in different negative feedbacks of the transistor amplifier, this Miller theorem is used, right? So transistor integrator it is used, bootstrapping principle it is used. So wherever emitter follower, because wherever the impedance or resistance is there or capacitance is there or inductance is there between the input and output, you can use the Miller's theorem. So these are the list of the applications wherein the Miller theorem is used, and you are going to study maximum number of these circuits in your EDC or in your integrated circuit or further in third year and final year. Similarly, if you look at the circuit phenomenon techniques like bootstrapping principle or technique I was explained. So bootstrapping is used in the your transistor amplifiers where to increase the input impedance right now. Then similarly it is used in virtual ground and so on and so forth. So a lot of applications are there, but mostly all these applications are amplifier applications, transistor amplifier or what you can say operational amplifier, right? So at the end just we'll see one example and then we'll end this video. So here you can see for this particular Miller's Miller's dual theorem, here it is considered that there are two nodes and between one node and the ground there's r dash. How we can simplify this r dash? So we can simplify r dash between one and this actually this should be ground here, that is r1 on this side and r2 on this side. So what is R1? R1 is going to be R dash into 1 minus AI or 1 minus alpha. So earlier we said Z1 is equal to Z into 1 minus alpha or AI. So R1 equal to R dash into 1 minus AI. So what is R dash? R dash is the element between that particular node and the ground, right? And AI is the current gain, I2 upon I1. Similarly, this element can be simplified between output and or that node 2 and ground, and that value of the R2 will be equals to R dash into AI minus 1 upon AI. AI is nothing but I2 by I1, or it can be alpha. So R2 in R dash into alpha minus 1 upon alpha. So that is what we have seen here. Sorry, here I think something is wrong. 1 minus. Okay, so this is I think they have used in subtraction. That is why these values are coming different. So we can use these theorems in two ways right now. So it's the simplest one, which is normally used in amplifiers. That is what I have considered here, because you will be studying more amplifier circuits and wherein these things will be required. So depending upon the how you are using this theorem, you will get this particular idea. So I will just show you here. In case of implementation, so what you are exactly doing, you are subtracting v1 minus v1 from v2 or v2 from v1. Depending upon that, you will get these particular values right now. Either there can be plus sign or minus sign. That depends upon the subtraction or addition. आप क्या कर रहे हैं उसके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. So if you are subtracting v2 from v1 or adding v2 to v1, so depending upon these values, equations will change, right? Okay, so no need to go into such a details. Just simply whatever I explained here for Miller's theorem, you just try to understand how we are getting this Z1 as Z upon 1 minus K and Z2 as Z into K upon K minus 1. And for the dual, how we're getting Z1 as 1 plus alpha into Z and Z2 equals to 1 plus alpha upon alpha into Z, right? So that much you can understand. And now let us take the simple example. As I was told you, suppose you have common emitter amplifier. So in case of the common emitter amplifier, while doing the DC and AC analysis, suppose this is ground, there is no RE emitter resistance, it is grounded directly, and in collector there is a RC, and this is connected to plus VCC. On output side there is a load resistance RL connected to ground, and there is a capacitance also, coupling capacitance CO. This is V0, and input side coupling capacitor, source voltage which we have to amplify, Vs or Vin, you can say Vs or Vin, then input coupling capacitor, base resistance, and then there is an collector. Suppose it is called an RF, feedback resistance. So this is your RB. So if this is circuit, then how you can simplify this feedback resistance which is between base and collector? Because now here base is input, this is input side where you, and the emitter is common. So as it was mentioned, V1 node, V2 node, and there is some resistance or impedance between these, and there is some ground right now. So that circuit is, you can just fit this circuit here right now. So your V1 is some base voltage here, which is from input side. This V2 is that is some collector voltage from output side, and the ground is emitter, something like that right now. So if it is so, then how we can simplify this? So now you know that there are two analysis of the transistor. One is called AC analysis, other is called the DC analysis, right? So in DC analysis, what happens? I will not go into details of DC analysis. Normally, we are interested in Q point, Vincent point, right now, okay, which is very much important for biasing. So in case of DC circuit, your this capacitors will be open. The moment the capacitors are open, your source is disconnected, load is also disconnected, right? So what will be your circuit? Yours, and then RB becomes redundant. So your circuit will be only this much, DC equivalent, plus VCC, RC. This is your RF. So this is called an what you can say, fixed biasing circuit. So fixed biasing circuit in that case, or feedback biasing circuit, there is always resistance between base and collector, that means input and output. So this forms the this forms the feedback element here right now. And then depending upon, there is a type of the feedback amplifier, right? So this will be, this much will be the circuit for the DC analysis. In DC analysis, what we do, we calculate the collector current IC, then we calculate what is the base current IB, right? And then we calculate emitter current IE. Then we calculate base to emitter voltage VBE, base to emitter voltage VBE. This is suppose your base current IB. Then we calculate collector to emitter voltage VCE, and then we plot the what you can say, uh, your IB versus VBE, right? IB versus VBE, or maybe this is for input one, that is base current and base to emitter voltage. But if you just try to find out the quiescent point, so you're plotting IC versus VC, something like that right now. And then where is the Q point that you try to find out right now? Okay, where in amplifier gives faithful amplification, so there won't be any distortion or like that. So I'll not go into details about this one. You can study this, all these things in the EDC or the electronics subject. Now here, if you are going for AC analysis, so in case of AC analysis, we normally find out the input impedance, we find out the output impedance, we find out the voltage gain, we find out the current gain, and so on and so forth, right? You might be studying this for transistor and MOSFET in EDC. So for AC circuit, how to draw this equivalent? So in that case, you can see for AC circuit, this coupling capacitors become short, right? The DC voltage also becomes short because this battery voltage here, this is minus plus VCC. This is replaced by its internal resistance, which is short, right? Okay, so this is going to be short. Capacitance is going to be short for DC. This capacitance is going to be short for DC. So what will be your equivalent circuit? Your equivalent circuit will be something like this. This is your suppose transistor. Again, you can draw the transistor model also, but I'm not going to discuss that in detail. That you can study in details in EDC. So this is going to be ground. So your RC, this feedback resistor RF is here. Just I'm trying to explain Miller's theorem right now. So concentrate on Miller's theorem. So this is short, and this RL will come into picture here, and this is your V0 on the side. This capacitor is going to short. This RB will be there now, and this is your source, which is AC, which you have to amplify. So this is a signal, very weak signal. You want to amplify, and then your emitter is grounded here. Okay, so this will be your AC circuit. But now here, if I want to find out the what is the input resistance Rin seen from this side, I can't find out because I don't know what is the value of this RF on input side. Or if I want to find out what is going to be the output resistance R0, I cannot find, because if I see from the output side, right, if this voltage source is also shorted, then I cannot see, I can see only RL, but I cannot see the effect of this RF on output side. So in such a situation, the Millers has given this theory to simplify this circuit, that means the feedback element. And if you use the Miller's theorem, then according to Miller's theorem, okay, what will be the, this is your RC here, this is grounded, output side V0, and there is a RL, and now you will get this particular RF will be split into two, or it will be divided into two this one resistances. This will be called as an RMO or R2, and then on input side also we will get this RMI, or it is also called as an R1, RV, and then your source here plus minus Vin. So now you can visualize from this side what is going to be Rin or what is going to be RO right now. Now what is the value of this RMO and what is the value of RMI? So we have seen already using this theorem, RMI or R1 equals to Z. Z means here RF upon Z means RF. So you can see here Z, this Z, this Z. So instead of Z, there is now RF between the input and output. So for that, what is the formula for that input, Miller's input resistance or impedance? That value of the feedback element upon 1 minus K. Okay, or if there's a resistance, it is value of the resistance upon 1 minus K. So here in this circuit, it will be this RF upon 1 minus K, or we can write this as a RF upon 1 minus AV, where this K equals to AV equals to output voltage. Suppose output voltage is V0 here, and input voltage here is V in, or whatever Vs. So from this output, this voltage at this collector and voltage at the base, we can consider, if this is V in, we can consider this as a Vs, and then we can write this as a Vs, so output of input. So this value of RMI is given by Miller's input, Miller's theorem right now. So now you can find out the Rin right now. Suppose if you go to the, if you replace this transistor by its model, right? It's a hybrid model, right? There are two models of transistor. One is hybrid model, other is the RE model. So if you replace by the hybrid model, then on this side you get the HIE. So this HIE between base and emitter, and then this RMI comes in parallel with this one. So now we can find out this RI. So RI or Rin will be RMI parallel to HIE. So HIE is given in a data sheet of the transistor, right? Transistor the transistor, and then RMI you can calculate from voltage gain and the value of the feedback resistance. So this is how you can simplify this. This is how you can find out Rin. But if it is there between input and output, you can't find out like this. Similarly, for the output, RMO or R2 equals to, we know that it is RF into K upon K minus 1. So where K is what? K is AV, is equal to V0 upon Vs, or whatever it is right now. So like this we can split, and now we can find out the R0 from this side. So R0 will be equal to RL parallel to RMO and parallel to whatever input resistance of the transistor, say it is R0. sorry, output resistance of the transistor, that is R0. So like that we can simplify. So I think hope it is clear to everyone what is Miller's theorem, and also similarly we can use the Miller's dual theorem in the respective applications. Like one was explained here, current series feedback amplifier. So in current series feedback amplifier, the dual of Miller's theorem is used. Similarly, in op-amp differentiator, which acts as a high pass filter, there also we use the dual of the Miller's theorem, right? So hope it is clear to everyone. So we'll stop here.